The number one pick for Adam in our draft was The Smashing Machine. And so I think we all saw that, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, Adam, this was your pick. So you get to start. Tell us about The Smashing Machine.
All right. So the Safdie brothers decided to split up.
Those homeless rabbis.
Okay.
Anyway. The Safdie brothers.
So the Smashing Machine sees Dwayne Johnson take on his most dynamic he gives us his most dynamic performance as kind of mixed martial artist, UFC fighter, or Mark Kerr. And we kind of see the kind of trajectory going into a certain like championship. And we get to see a lot of different elements of Mark Kerr's kind of rise in the ranks of this mixed martial arts and UFC stuff. First off, I was super excited for this movie because obviously it's one of the Safdie brothers directing, and I thought, like, hey, if they're doing stuff like Uncut Gems and Good Time, Safdie brothers are doing stuff like Uncut Gems and Good Time. It'd be interesting to see how they do individual projects. And I think Smashing Machine has a lot of stuff going for it, but I feel like sometimes when it's trying to go for a knockout, it's more just going for maybe a low blow for the audience at times. Again, super excited for this because you see the big standing ovation at one of the film festivals, and you can see Dwayne Johnson like actively crying and doing the goosebumps thing from his wrestling stuff. And I've been a supporter for a lot of Dwayne Johnson's action movies and some of his fun performances as well. I don't think he has been this kind of into a role and this good in a role since Pain and Gain. I think that's kind of a very fun performance there. Southland Tales, I don't remember that too much, but I know he was kind of crazy good in that as well. But Pain and Gain, I really liked him in that Michael Bay film. And so, of course, seeing some of the images that came out of this, I was like, I got to see what he's doing here. And I think he's really, really good and would have a good fighting chance for an Oscar nomination.
I see what you did there.
There we go.
I see what you did there.
So
I think also
zingers.
Yeah, I think also Emily Blunt too is giving a very good performance for this underdeveloped character that we really only get to know Dawn as Crazy Dawn, because every time she's on screen, something crazy is happening, and we really don't get the full spectrum of what their relationship actually is. And so while Blunt's good, it definitely feels like this could be an Oscar-nominated performance in the realm of Oppenheimer, just giving her another kind of nomination in the kind of the realm of this too. One of the things, the standouts here, I feel like, is Ryan Bader, who plays Mark Coleman here, the other kind of a trainer of Mark Kerr, and also kind of another fellow competitor. And I think the film was trying to build off what Warrior did pretty decently. I know we're kind of mixed on that movie a little bit, but I feel like Warrior was a good kind of USC type of film as well, and kind of led for this epic fight between the two characters. And if I, going in, I'm not a UFC, fanatic or anything like that, so I really didn't know if Mark was going to be set up to win this thing. However, the big commentary coming out of the film for me and my wife was they should have focused more on Mark Coleman and Mark Kerr's relationship to kind of lead up to that, instead of the chaotic nature of how the movie is set up, because it kind of jumps around a little bit, and there's things that happen, and then you go what seems like a long period of time in film time, and then it jumps back and references another film. So it feels rather messy. I think some of the fights are not really memorable at all. They're really just not great, but there's some good things when the movie is clicking. It's good. Dwayne Johnson's obviously, I think, feel really good. I think Emily Blunt's good, even though her character, I don't understand the dynamic. And the ending also is kind of funny too. So while I wanted to like this more, I can't go more than 2.5 stars. So I will say it's 2.5 stars for The Smashing Machine.
All right, 2.5 stars from Adam. We'll go to Zach next.
Okay, so The Smashing Machine by the director of our favorite movie of the last decade. Anytime there's a follow-up to a movie like that, it's must-see entertainment. Once on this show, a great question was posed. What if the Safdie brothers were French? We still don't have an answer to that question, but it was a good question. I don't know. I'm biased a little bit. I'm not really into wrestling or UFC, and I think these movies have come out at like too whip pace. These last few years were oversaturated with dumb wrestling fighting movies, and I was not a fan of this one really at all. I agree with a lot of the criticism that Adam had. First of all, what is the point of this movie? Is it to depict a guy who was a legendary fighter? Well, he wasn't, and the movie kind of shows that he was forgotten. Is it to point out the beginnings of UFC? I mean, it does in flashes, but it's pretty partial. Is it to show a great love story? Absolutely not. This movie, I feel like, sort of condones a toxic relationship. I mean, these people should have never been together. There is violence that is suggested and sometimes given. The Rock breaks 2 doors in this movie, pulling his best Lawrence Tierney impression. Someone puts a gun to their head. I mean, this is not exactly a story where we cheer at the idea that these people might have ended up together. The acting in this movie is awful. Dwayne Johnson's hair is just distracting in this movie, and there are times at which it feels like a Saturday Night Live sketch. Emily Blunt feels like the Heidi Gardner character on Saturday Night Live, actually, the requisite wrestler's wife/girlfriend. Her character is simultaneously underwritten and overseen in this film. I agree with Adam. So there's no purpose for this character except to have Emily Blunt in your movie. Which leads me to the real reason that this movie was made in the first place. This is a total and unabashed and naked attempt at Oscar bait for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And sometimes these vanity projects have worked before. You know, a movie like Still Alice, the whole purpose of that movie was to get Julianne Moore her Oscar. And that's actually a pretty good movie. And there's a few examples here and there where it works. This absolutely falls flat. It's as though Benny Safdie, who also edited this movie, which is painfully slow at times, and it shows, it's as though Benny Safdie or whoever put this movie together saw the documentary on HBO 20 years ago. Now, granted, I've never seen it, but my guess is that they saw that and thought, this is just going to make a great vehicle for someone to do an overly dramatic portrayal. The delivery in this movie is wooden. There's sequences that fly. Adam's right. Narratively, it's incoherent. The editing in this movie, it goes from one place to another. At some points, these people are portrayed as rich because they live in a big Arizona house with a pool, and then they're portrayed as poor because to them, winning $200,000 is life-changing. What are you talking about? What world are you living in? The UFC in this movie is, for some reason, in Japan. Now, maybe Adam knows more of the history behind that, but if this movie really wanted to be
totally
about
missed that. It's not in Japan. That's the other league. He's in 2 leagues.
Okay, whatever. He's in Japan. The movie doesn't, as I was saying, doesn't really offer a coherent view of whatever the UFC was or whatever other league it was. This movie is a mess. It's confusing. It's indulgent and long, and I give it 1.5 stars.
Well, of course, he was in 2 leagues. He was in the Japanese League Prime, and he was also in the UFC. He says this. He has a whole scene talking about it. So obviously Zach wasn't paying attention. I'm shocked Zach didn't take the low-hanging fruit and talk about how Dwayne Johnson is going to be Stickman of the Year because he is literally the smashing machine. Like he's essentially the Iron Chef of Pounding Vaj is the title of this movie. But Dwayne Johnson, I think he kind of disappears in this role, but he's basically the same age as Kerr. So it's kind of strange casting. He's good though. He's more sensitive than you would expect. He's not just like a meathead. The look of the movie is realistic. It looks like footage from the time that it was, which was 25 years ago or whatever. Blunt acts nothing like herself, but it's a horrible character. But she's, because of her being the nature of a character, she's probably in the Oscar conversation. What I liked about the movie was the first 45 minutes, and unfortunately, it was only the first 45 minutes, which was like the psychology of the athlete and the business of the sport. That's a really intriguing angle that I've never seen in a boxing or a fighting movie before. And that was really good in the first 45 minutes. And when it's cooking, it's pretty compelling. Definitely not traditional a sports movie in that way. But it's difficult to get into because Mark is such an unlikable presence that you can't really root for him. And even when his world is crumbling, I had a hard time actually caring about it. And the descent into addiction is predictable. And that was not really interesting to me. The decline is just kind of rough to watch. And I feel like the performances in that section also kind of fell flat and it kind of got a little boring. Safdie really thinks he's making Raging Bull here, but it never rises to the level of like visceral pain and feeling that you get watching Raging Bull. There's almost none of that in here because it tries to play both games. I don't know what to make of this. I was really into it for the first half. It was a thumbs up at that point, but then it isn't, and then it gets kind of bad at the end. I don't know entirely why the movie was made. I mean, I think we kind of are all in agreement there. It's like just because like this guy, he was a good athlete who was cheating, and then when he wasn't cheating, he wasn't really that good anymore. I don't know why he's the main character. The Mark Coleman character would have been a lot more interesting to have this like generational athlete best friend who's when you're also trying to build your own career. I think that would have been a more interesting angle to be the main character of this movie. I'm at 2 stars.
All right, so we've got 2.5, we got 1.5, we got 2. We are quad declined. I'm at 2 stars with this one. This movie, it feels. I'm hoping this is one of those where it feels like a little too inside the ropes. It feels like it was a movie made by a wrestling fan for wrestling fans, or UFC fans at least. And if you don't know the story already, you're not going to understand. You're not gonna understand the plight. But at the same time, you got to make a coherent story. Like this movie doesn't know what it wants to be about. Like, is it about addiction? Is it about troubled home life? Is it about the business of wrestling? Is it about best friends? It's kind of trying to be about all of them, which makes it about none of them. Dwayne Johnson, he does disappear into it, but he's also kind of still distractingly Dwayne Johnson. And at times his performance is kind of bad. Like there are moments where it almost feels like the other characters in the scenes are trying to coach him through his acting. And like, okay, all you got to do now is tell me this story. And like when he's in the hospital and like my Mark Coleman's talking to him, it's like, all right, no, you're okay. Now tell me the story you've already told me. And it's like, are you talking to Mark Kerr or are you talking to Dwayne Johnson here? It kind of feels like you're talking to the actor, trying to help him remember what he's supposed to do next. At the same time, like he's fine. Like this is one of his best performances because it's the thing that he's gotten that has the most meat to chew on. You guys are right on with Emily Blunt. She didn't fit. The performance didn't fit. The character didn't fit. It either needed to go away or be more developed, and it did neither. So it just kind of was stuck. This movie's just stuck trying to do way too much and not doing any of it well. It looks cool, but the Safdies are better together, and at least so far, we'll see what we'll see. We've got a UFC movie, we've got a ping pong movie coming up later this year from the other one. We'll see how that one goes, but yeah. 2 stars, quad declined for the Smashing Machine.
I think I'm going to switch to 2. I think you guys, there's no reason to be closer to positive, honestly. This
is your number one anticipated movie. That's got to be a huge disappointment for you then.
Oh, it is. That's why it's on my short list for Pinot, or Merlot nomination, or whatever we decided. But I think Dwayne Johnson is good, but at the same time, he is like what you guys are saying too. So it might make it like a more higher war performance than an actual good performance, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm very kind of disappointed by it. I think part of the hype was because it was a Safdie, and I've really liked the movies I've seen so far from them, but that they were together, and this is them apart. So yeah.
Yeah, I really haven't come across any critic that actually liked this movie in spite of a pretty positive Rotten Tomatoes score. And I think it's also a reminder that just because you have a handheld camera doesn't necessarily mean that your film feels gritty. The Dardennes do it very well. It was done very well in Uncut Gems. This movie feels like Benny Safdie was trying to go for like a verite sort of look. And it does look like it's shot in like old VHS tape at times. but it also has, I think, the unintentional consequence of feeling very amateur. I mean, it actually, those scenes inside the house sometimes border on like the set from The Room, like Tommy Wiseau. I mean, it just felt like an amateur sort of like $2,000 budget production. And like when he kicks in that door felt super fake as well. Like it just, there's nothing
Looked like it was made out of cardboard.
that felt authentic. It almost felt, again, like an SNL sketch. I mean, there were times that I didn't know whether to laugh at it because of how over the top it was and how like formulaic it was, how reliant it was on cliches that we've seen in this. Like when he's on the hospital bed, when he's giving up the steroids, when he's calling his sponsor. I mean, come on, this is the kind of stuff that he was parodying in Pain and Gain. And that was 12 years ago. I mean, that was a movie that is way more progressive and sophisticated in its treatment about bodybuilding and addiction. So yeah, it's unfortunate that it had to come to this, but this movie just needed to be a whole lot better. Yeah. And it starts with the writing. I mean, the writing in this movie is awful.
Yep. All right. So Quad declined on the Smashing Machine. It is in theaters if you want to check it out.